Unfiltered. Please tell me that's on video. I've never been happier.
I'm made for a fucking podcast. That's dangerous. Listen to me, we're at it.
All right, welcome to UFC Unfiltered. Sayif Saud joins us again. I'm really happy you come on as often as you do. We love having you as our third person, especially after a great weekend like we just had.
You guys keep talking. You guys keep talking. I'm gonna explain what I'm doing in 1 second, but you keep talking. Hi, Sayif.
What's up, buddy?
Keep talking.
All right, you're now Sayif. Did you watch all of the fights or as many as you could?
Yeah, I did, and obviously, I thought the main event was, one to talk about. I thought that the kid that fought Manel Cape, Dos Santos, I thought that kid was really tough as well. I thought he raised his stock quite a bit, even though he lost to come in there and fight like that.
He took the fight on short notice, right? Very short notice.
Yeah, and no one wants to fight that kid, and he's tough.
Yeah,
he's a tough kid, and then. The kid lost, but I mean, he was right there and he showed that he was, if you can fight a guy that's a top 10 guy like that, right out the gates, I think that says a lot about your future in the UFC,
Now, did you see, I got to give Matt credit to, yes, sir.
I don't want to break. I was
going to give you credit.
You know what I did?
What?
This is what I was just doing. We have to let the audience know what's going on here.
All right.
I came into this meeting. I came into the show, I should say. That makes more sense. It's just me and you, and I expected, unprofessional. I expected Sayif Saud in here.
Yeah.
I did not expect the great coach Sayif Saud with a goddamn tank top on. So I just did some push-ups. I'm not going to lie to you. I did.
Look at that.
I fucking did. Because
look at him. Show him the guns, Matt.
Hey,
show him the guns.
Hey, Sayif. Oh, wrong arm. Sayif. Listen, I don't want to make any. He's been doing a lot of jiu-jitsu. He looks good. He needs a tan, but he's my friend Jimmy. He does some jiu-jitsu, but it's usually just me and Jimmy. And you look so good. To Jimmy, if you put Jimmy in a tank top, I guarantee I might look a little bit more veiny. But you look very good. What are you? And I can't wait to talk about these fights that we're talking about. Strickland. I want to talk about the France kid who's yelling crazy shit in the microphone. I want to talk about it was crazy night.
Yep.
But what are you doing to stay in shape? Unless you want to say something else.
No, I mean I just had my birthday, and you guys know
Happy
this.
birthday.
I did.
Happy
Thanks.
birthday.
And when that birthday is round the corner, right? You tell yourself, I'm going to go hard here for a few fucking weeks, so that way when I make this turn, right, I can look in the mirror and go, all right, I look pretty good. So I'm still riding that wave right now. I'm going to try to keep it going. When I opened the gym, I was in really great shape. And as the team continued to grow, you know how it is, Matt. You're traveling all the time, and then, your time to work out gets compressed, and then your diet, and then you're on the plane. And so I'm trying to get back.
I want to ask you.
Hit mitts today for the first time. Hit mitts for the first time. Probably all year. So I'm on
this
it, man.
This is what I want to do to start the show off, because it's really going to be fun, Jimmy. I want to play a little game. It's not a big game. It's a little game.
Okay.
It's a guessing game. And me and Jimmy knows each other's ages, so we're not going to play. Sayif, I want you to guess our ages, and then we're going to guess yours. Jimmy, stop looking at the notes. It probably says his age on there.
I already said it. I just said it. So
did you say it?
You probably missed it. Yeah, you probably missed it.
All right, how about this? How old is Jimmy?
Well, in these
Jimmy,
glasses, I look very old in these glasses.
Jimmy, you said that.
Jimmy.
When I asked that, Sayif, he looked like fucking Mr. Magoo.
I know the glasses make me look old. I got to take them off.
Sorry. Now look, Jimmy.
But you know what?
Matty,
Jimmy's looking a little bit more muscular in the neck. He's looking a little bit different. He looks like he's getting a little bit stronger. So if he's been training jits, that makes sense. But Jimmy, on a good day, Jimmy's I don't know, I would call him, I'd say 47 to 49. I mean, I think that's about accurate, right?
Yeah, close. 55. Not bad. Yeah.
You look. But right now, because of that muscularity in the training, you look 47 to 49, right? So I always tell that aging is unique because you can get chronologically older, but biologically better. And when I heard that and I learned that for the first time, it motivated me greatly. So you could get older, but physically be literally better. Your cells, your physiological self. So
Yeah.
that's what training does, man. So good for you. You look different, a little bit different.
Thank you. Yeah, I like it. It's because I'm tired and I train very Mike is very rough and he's really great and I do love it. I understand why people love it so much, but I've never done anything more exhausting. I'm more in awe of fighters than I've ever been. The fact that somebody does that while someone's legitimately trying to kick their ass is fucking crazy to me.
But you know what though? Once you start training jits, and let's talk about Matt and his gym. Like, there's nothing better, I think, honestly, than people that roll jits their whole lives until they get in their 60s and 70s. And Matt, I'm sure he has some of these guys at his gym. Cardiovascular, the muscular endurance that it takes, the dynamic, format of jiu-jitsu. And if you get partners you trust, like, guys that are good, that can push you like that, but not get you hurt. I mean, what's better than that? Lifting weights isn't that dynamic. Cardio alone doesn't have that same kind of resistance. So I think, jiu-jitsu, I really believe that they should make it mandatory in school. They should really propel jiu-jitsu as part of the physical training, I think, for kids. I mean, in judo, kind of how they used to a little bit back in the day. I really think it would be good.
Yeah, dude, I think it's amazing what it does for people. And I see Jimmy Swinger is just, if he's a bird, he's becoming a peacock because he's just, I
love it. I do love it.
I see it. Hey guys, first of all, everybody loves a good underdog story, man. I mean, I'm not gonna say we're not gonna get into the who predicted.
Well, I was actually gonna open the show with that, Matt, but then you told me you're doing push-ups. Matt called it. You said, I think if it was a 4th round stoppage you called for, and I thought that Izzy would outpoint him. I didn't think Sean was going to get knocked out, but I thought Adesanya would wind up stay because he has that great range and such great movement, but I did not see Strickland just robotically walking him down for 4 out of those 5 rounds. I mean, it literally was like watching a cyborg. It was crazy how Izzy could just get nothing started.
I did the breakdown on it, and I talked about Strickland and the Philly shell and kind of how he locates that jab from down here. And he, you saw Izzy with the guard here, but he was wrapping it around and then sticking that too right down the middle. And he'll kind of flick that front kick and just walk people down. And he's real good at laterally cutting off the cage. And really what happened was Strickland got in his rhythm early. Once he gets in a rhythm like that, he might lose a round in the beginning, but he kind of gets the momentum going, and he's like a bull, right? Like a train coming downhill. And that's kind of what he did. He kind of got going. He got that knockdown, and then after he got the knockdown, Izzy had to kind of watch it, and that changed the fight. Izzy could never really get started. So, I mean, Sean Strickland was who Sean Strickland is, which makes the win so much cooler because of kind of who he is in the sport, right? He did it his way. He didn't wrestle. He said that was the game plan. And I said, I don't know, man. I said, he's opportunistic about wrestling. He's got a black belt, but I said, I think he wants to do the man dance. And that's exactly what he did. I mean, he never won takedown attempt. Incredible.
Jimmy, I was going to say, let me be honest here. I did predict Sean Strickland to win, but in all honesty, I did not predict him to win this way. I thought he was going to utilize his grappling. And he didn't. I mean, he did not, and more power to him, dude. It's even more impressive because he did, like you said, he was typical Sean Strickland. That's the way he fights. And then how about this? To put a stamp on it, because we knew he won in that 5th round. Everybody kind of knew what was happening. To put a stamp on it comes down to short time. How many seconds left? And he's calling them. He's putting his hands down. He's cursing at him. Let's fucking go. That just put the stamp. It did. I mean, and for him to do that and Izzy to have no response.
Yeah.
Absolutely brutal. And it's almost worse than getting caught.
You're right.
You get caught.
You're right.
I think the most
straight up beat. Wow.
I think the most impressive thing Strickland did for me, I mean, the first round was great. He knocked him down. He didn't get tired, and he really lost round 2. I think the most impressive thing he did was rebounding in round 3. He didn't allow the disappointment of not putting him away. He didn't allow the disappointment because everyone thinks, all right, Adesanya settled in now. Round 2, this is Adesanya. But for Strickland to come back and do it again meticulously in round 3 was the most impressive thing that he did. Was the fact not that he knocked him down, but that he didn't allow round 2 to fucking ruin that fight for him.
I think that's a great point, Jim. And when you see it, okay, here comes Adesanya 10-9. Here we go. That's what we see typically, right? We've seen him lose before against Pereira. We've seen him lose rounds. So you're right. Like, he's settled in, he's got his rhythm. But no, for him to come back and dominate the last 3, and to Matt's point, to be yelling and shit at him, like, let's go. What's up? What are you going to do? In his hometown almost, but here's what I'd say. And I was saying this to Jake before we got on. Man, Izzy's had a lot of fights, and that's it. I mean, he didn't look like he had the spark that night. I mean, just to Matt's point, he was walking back like, fuck it, whatever, man. I'm checked out. I lost this fight. The fight's over. He wasn't trying to win or go for it in the 5th. I mean, and he's just burned out. That takes nothing away from Sean. Sean executed his way and he hit it perfect. It's a 10 out of 10 for Sean. And it's a loss for Izzy, and it doesn't diminish what Izzy is or what he's done. It really doesn't. And I wish people understood fighting, and Matt knows this. Like, sometimes you fucking rhyme slow, sometimes you rhyme quick. Rashad Evans used to say that before. Sometimes you're on point, sometimes you're not. Sometimes you're tired, sometimes you're overtrained. No matter what, Strickland won that fight. Izzy, had a good camp. Coaches made no excuses. He wasn't hurt. But why he wasn't even trying to win in the 5th, like why he was just backing up, kind of whatever.
He had a bad night, right? Like,
who knows,
just a bad night.
Yeah. He had a bad night.
You want to say a bad night, or maybe, but maybe, just maybe. First of all, that shot that he landed with like 20 seconds left in the first round.
That's right.
And this is something I'm not sure how many. I'm not sure. I'm not how many fights you had, Sayif, but how many beatings you had. Because I'll tell you right now,
I had a couple.
You could be in shape, and you could get hit, and it doesn't matter the shape you're in. That shape that you're in might have kept you in the fight, but it might have literally put your energy bar in a video game from here to here, and all of a sudden you're in great shape, but you're like, why am I? Like, I remember I took certain shots in a fight, and I'm like, yo. It might be the lead up to the fight, but I think this definitely didn't help. You know what I mean? So he might have stole his soul in that. That shot was as clean of a shot you can get hit with.
100%.
And I know he made it through. I would love to hear I have to hear the interaction with Izzy in the corner. I don't know if he knew what he got hit with, but
you're right about that, Matt. I mean, you're so right. And to your point, a couple things is, one, it's a physiological response, right? I took a lot of hard shots, and I only had 6 fights, total three pro fights. But I took some hard shots even in those fights, and in practice, Nate Marquardt kicked me one time in the head. I remember, and I don't even remember the rest of that whole rest of that practice. But I remember getting tired immediately. That was the beginning of practice. So, to your point, this. Your body as a response, right? Everything alarms and you get tired, right? It's like almost like an adrenaline dump the opposite way, right? And then maybe he just didn't have the energy to move or try to push. But what I would say is that when you look at the video, and I talked about this, Sean did what he does. He went Philly shell right here. He walked him straight in against the fence, and Izzy froze up against the fence and put his guard here, right? And you see Strickland wrap it around, that jab come and wrap it around, and just kind of get his hands up. And when Izzy came to counter to throw that hook like he did against Whitaker, Strickland just threw it right behind him, just caught him right on the chin. And you're right. That's the one he didn't even see. And the one you don't see is the one that hurts the most. So, man, you're right, Matt. I mean, no, as Dana said, nobody knows but Izzy, maybe that did sap the life out of him. I think, what I would say is, look at the Gaston fight. He got fucking rocked in that fight with the head kick. I mean, he was all fucked up, and he came back in the 5th like a monster. So, I don't know.
And look at the second Pereira fight. Didn't he get rocked at the end of the first in that second Alex Pereira fight? He got hit really hard and was almost out of it, and he came back and he won that fight. So maybe that was a big part of it. Maybe that just drained him or whatever. Or maybe he underestimated Strickland. I don't know how you would, but when you've won that many, I wonder, to these guys, like when you win so many and you're so dominant for so long, is it just natural that once you're just not going to have it, or you're going to overlook somebody, or you're just not going to be able to do what you normally do?
Yeah, I mean, matchups make everything, right? I mean, Strickland didn't, he wasn't hesitating. He got right in his game, and once he got going, he was coming downhill. I mean, he had that lead hand going. He uses that, front kick kind of like a jab, kind of to walk guys down and back him up. He kept, coming inside to that range and jamming Izzy up, so Izzy couldn't really kick him, right? And when Izzy would kick, sometimes he would grab the leg, which he likes to do. He just kept that forward pressure going, so Izzy couldn't really ever set up. And then again, when Izzy gets against the fence, it's the only time he gets hurt, right? Because it kills his mobility, and he can't have that lateral movement. And we've seen that now a couple times. And I'm sure that his coaches will be on him about not backing up towards the cage. So just well done by Sean Strickland. And I feel like everybody's acknowledging that. I feel like Izzy's team acknowledged that, and there's nothing to say. Hats off to him. He's the champion of the world. He won that fight dominantly.
Yes,
and that's it. It's as clear cut as that.
Yeah, and didn't he say something in the corner about something with his jab? I was kind of in and out of the room in between rounds, but I thought he said something about there's something about the jab.
Couldn't get his distance with the jab. He couldn't get his timing. Izzy likes to grab all the time and kind of get his range. He has that 80-inch reach, and he likes to keep people at the end of that range, and then he can kick and punch. He knows the distance, but Strickland wouldn't allow that. He kept crashing into that range constantly and not allowing Izzy to get his reads. And that pressure is eventually what broke Izzy down and made him kind of just back up. And he wasn't trying to win. He was kind of just trying to manage the fight at that point, it seemed.
Right.
So what's next for Sean Strickland? First of all, it's going to be entertaining. It's going to be about as entertaining as when Trump was president. I think him in front of a mic is always that's not even, I'll tell you. I'm thinking he's a unique guy. He's not afraid to be himself. And he's not going to be playing to the camera he's not going to portray himself anything different than what he is. I think it's going to be very interesting to see him in the media to come. But who do you think he gets next? I mean, what do you think they do? Do they run it back Izzy's been such a dominant, and he came back and he avenged the thing with Alex Pereira. He's been such a dominant champion, I mean, I think there's a couple ways to do it. I think they could put Duplessis against Strickland, right? Next, let Izzy rest, and then Izzy fights the winner, because he has the storyline with Duplessis if Duplessis wins. And he has a storyline with Strickland if Strickland wins. There's a storyline with both guys, but now you got another fight with these two. So, and those three now can fight each other, because Strickland has a win over Izzy, and Duplessis has, that incident that they had where they were talking all that trash. So I think you'll see those three, and then Hamzat wherever he fits in with the Paulo Costa thing. And middleweight just got real interesting, because you've got those three, and then if Hamzat goes out there and takes Paulo Costa down and chokes him out, and like he did Kevin Holland, I mean, I think that I don't know. I mean, he might get projected all the way up there, because he's a guy that pulls numbers, right? And he's a guy that people are going to tune in to see. So, and that's really what it comes down to. So, I mean, man, middleweight's up there. I mean, Israel Adesanya said that that Paulo Costa is a very hard fight. He said he made it look easy. And if you think about it, styles make fights. I mean, I think that the Khamzat fight, if you think about Yoel Romero, even though they were throwing some sledgehammers, Yoel Romero versus
Costa.
Versus Costa, yeah, sorry. He's not an easy guy to take down and just control. He's a powerful guy. So I think that first round is going to be very telling in that one. When is that again? When is that fight?
I think it's Abu Dhabi, if I'm not mistaken. So the bottom line is October 24th, I think.
October, yeah, that's right.
But the bottom line is, I think they wait for that fight and to see what happens in that fight. And then they can UFC can kind of pivot multiple ways. And like we were talking about a second ago, that if Izzy needs a break and just needs to recharge and kind of retool and, take care of the little injuries that add up, Matt, over the years or whatever it is. Then they can do that in interim, and it's an undisputed fight because Izzy's not the champion. And then they could, parlay either one of those, and then they could make the loser fight Hamzat or whatever. I mean, middleweight has definitely changed a lot because if Strickland would have lost, it's just who? Okay, now can Hamzat beat Izzy? No, he can't. Now that's it.
Well, you also have the Cannonier. He was split decision over Strickland. So would they run that one back? And again, Costa Strickland is a great fight. Like I love the idea of Paulo Costa against Sean Strickland. And again, he lost to Adesanya. So one disadvantage to a champion who's kind of run through the entire division is there's not as many interesting matchups. But a guy like Strickland, they may want to try to get him to fight one, maybe two times while Adesanya rests, just to make a couple of matchups that otherwise wouldn't mean anything if Strickland wasn't champion.
No, I mean, that's a great point that you brought up Cannonier, and I talked about him as well when I did the breakdown. Cannonier, to me, in this last fight against Marvin Vettori, looked like a killer. I thought he looked so polished. I watched that fight, and I mean, I remember just really being like, man, this guy's really coming to his own. I mean, he looks so good. I mean, his footwork, he's so balanced, he's so strong, so crisp, his range management with his power and his tempo. I thought he was incredible. So he's a hard fight for Strickland. I mean, even though he beat him, that fight was very close. I feel like he's getting better and better. Obviously, Strickland is too, but Cannonier is a dangerous guy for sure.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Jimmy.
No, go ahead. Go ahead, buddy.
I was going to switch subjects. If you have something on that, I was going to say.
No.
Well, I was going to say about Alexander Volkov versus Tai Tuivasa.
Yeah.
And you have to like that fucking naked Ezekiel choke he did. It's reminiscent of Olenek, right?
Olenek, yeah,
right, yeah,
the Russian. Yeah.
I wonder how tight it was compared to how tired Tuivasa was, right?
Well, it's a hard choke from the top. You know that, obviously. I mean, it's not an easy one to get, and but he's got such long arms. Maybe because he's so long, his leverage is maybe worse and feels like more death, I would assume, probably.
What is the position? Can I ask you guys of the Ezekiel choke? Because he was on top. It was hard to see. Exactly does that choke look like?
The arms.
We'll let Matt take this one. Go ahead. Okay. Let's let their hands up.
When he's hugging around your neck like this, say this arm's underneath your neck, Jimmy, if I'm on top of you.
But not behind you, on top of you, you guys are facing each other.
If I'm mounted on you right now, chest to chest, I'm hugging around your neck like this.
Okay.
So then my other arm is going to be holding my bicep. All right. But when I get my bicep, this arm comes through, and sometimes they got that like with a fist on your neck. So if I'm here, I'm hugging around your neck. Here's your neck. I'm going to go to my bicep. When I go to the bicep, this arm is the one that snakes on the other carotid artery. So that's when if that makes it's kind of hard to shadow.
Think of it like a front rear naked.
Front rear naked, yeah, exactly.
It really resembles rear naked choke. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's on the front side, and Matt knows this. You always want to turn into the hands, right, on a choke. So when you're flat on your back in the Ezekiel, if you can get off center, you can kind of get out of it. That's why it's hard to finish, and that's why Matt's kind of laughing a little. If you can get off center a little bit from the front, you can take away that pressure from the carotid artery, and then you can kind of push the half guard. But when you're flat like that and you just let it come straight down, that compression. So it's not easy to get the Ezekiel choke, really, especially in MMA. You know?
I mean, that's why sometimes I think guys are like, oh, yeah, that's good. Meanwhile, they're like, fucking, awesome. But you know what sucks? I started to see some half of an elbow escape. I go, oh, he's starting to show something. And then he just, you can't go for one thing, stop, and go for the other. In other words, if I offset your balance with an oompa, if that oompa, trap and roll, if that doesn't work, their legs got to widen at least a little bit for me to find the floor with my leg
100%.
and get a leg in half guard and then bring the weight forward. And everything's got to be kind of, it can't be mechanical. So if I see a guy that maybe learned it, but it's not out on a daily basis.
What I always tell people, and Matt, this is, I say, you've got to scramble all the way through, right? You're a step behind right now. Okay. So if I'm on bottom and you're on top, I'm already a step behind. So I've got to scramble 2-3 steps above You're scramble up. I've got to scramble all the way through. And to your point, you can't scramble halfway and then stop and then scramble again and stop. You're already a step behind. So, yeah, I mean, look, that sucked to see Ty lose like that. I thought that was a hard fight, but you never know. I mean, he usually finds a way to kind of get it going. So low cost tough, man.
It's exhausting with a guy that big. Even he's slipping the shots in those elbows. He's so tall. Yeah. And when you're mounted and you're not gaining any real estate back where you could just slow it down a little bit, it's just all right, enough already. So it's, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, I'm almost mounted. Boom, boom, some shots and almost out. It's like, oh, you see the shoreline right there, but you just can't get to it.
Yeah.
I feel for him, That's 3 straight wins for Volkov now, Jim.
Yeah.
I think.
Oh, go ahead, Ziff.
Go ahead.
No, you go.
Go ahead. I was just going to say, we'll see what happens with Stipe and Jon, and if Jon retires. And then, kind of what happens there at the top, with Aspinall. And I mean, Aspinall really looks like incredible. The guy's, he's like the new age, right? Because he's big, he's like 250 or 260, but he's so fast and athletic. He looks like, almost like a linebacker in football. I mean, the way that he moves is just different. And so we'll see what happens with Jon and Stipe.
And he has jiu-jitsu too, Tom,
Yeah.
Where that's why when you think about like Cyril Gane, he looked so look at his movement and this and that. He looked great. He looked great the other night. If you put him with Jon Jones again, I think it's going to be a replay of the same thing. You know what I mean? It's hard to catch up on the floor, man. That takes time. If he should be living, he should be living on the floor. His stand-up's not going to get any worse. Look at him. He'll still be running around like a heavyweight Frankie Edgar, but he has to invest the time down there. I liked with his at least athleticism, he fought off a single leg and he showed that he could sprawl, but the levels between the two of them is scary with the floor. That's why we're thinking.
You're right. Aspinall's good enough too to get Cyril Gane down. We saw him double leg Andre Arlovski and just get right on that neck. I remember when I saw him do that in the post fight, they said, why did you do that? He goes, it was just there. So I just saw it. I mean, he drove that double, took him to the fence. You remember that? Just took his back and then choked. And I mean, it was like, I was like, man, that was impressed me. And I know Andre's up there, but it impressed me how quick he changed levels and how he blast doubled them. So you're right. I mean, it's incredible, the talent now in the UFC, and just every week we marvel at how many tough athletes there are now from around the world. It's really incredible every single week. The matchups that these guys are putting on and the fight cards are unreal.
Sergey Pavlovich. I mean, I would love to see him fight the winner of Jones, Stipe. I mean, if, like you said, unless Jones. But I don't think Jones will retire right away. I mean, he missed a lot of prime years, like Ted Williams. He missed a lot of prime years for being out for this reason or that reason. And those were all giant paydays he missed. And he can get a few big ones at heavyweight.
But Jon is such a smart athlete when it comes to game planning. He talks about his preparation, knowing every single thing an athlete's going to do. And when I was with Jeff and we were getting ready to fight Shavkat, he was in the PI with us, and he had these cards. And Brandon Gibson's my old teammate. Greg Jackson, was my head coach and cornered me. And I spent, a few years in Albuquerque loving him. I was talking to him, and Jon was like, all right, I want to go through all these numbers. And, he was like, all right, this code, that code, that code. And he knew every single detail. And he was kind of leading the dance, right? He was getting all his partners and telling them, you do this, you do this, you do this. He is meticulous, similar to GSP. With his fight prep. And I think he understands the dangers that these heavyweights pose, just coming at him and throwing bombs. He's got to evade every one of those. And his legacy is so cemented. I just think that he wanted to get the heavyweight title. He takes Stipe out, who is known as the greatest heavyweight, really, because he had the most defenses. And then he can say I was the best light heavyweight and the best heavyweight. And I think that will actually be, I think he'll tease it again for a while, but I don't know if he'll fight any of those young guys. Not to say that he can't do it, but I just don't know if he will.
He might be right.
Where's Greg Jackson been? I feel like we haven't seen him.
Greg is an enigma, man. And Greg is one of one. And I learned so much from him, but you know, he doesn't give a shit about social media or what people think, or you know, he's out in New Mexico fucking shooting guns and just doing his thing. And
what was cool with him, Sayif, is when I talked to him at these at the fights. I used to see him all the time, and he told me, I don't know how we got to this. I don't know how I found this out, but I was asking about it. He used to go look for deserted towns in the desert.
Ghost towns.
Go ghost towns.
Yeah.
Ghost towns.
I'm like, what?
Yeah.
I'm like, what is that about?
I would go in his office, and he had a General Grant portrait, and he had some other shit, and he would be sitting there reading, you know, like history and Greg was a really awesome leader and a great coach. And I think he gets forgotten about a little bit in the talk of all-time greats. I see a lot of people talking about, oh, this guy's all-time great, that guy's all-time great. I mean, you got to think, Jon, how many title defenses was that with Jon? You know, I mean, that right there kind of puts him somewhere. And then they had Holly, and, you know, Carlos won the interim, and there's a lot of stuff that happened out of Jackson. So I think that MMA has got a recency bias, you know, and people are kind of starting to forget, or maybe they haven't been around as long as we have, to see a fucking guy that was a plus 1,300 win the belt, the biggest upset ever versus GSP, Matt Serra.
No, stop.
That's the biggest
stop.
upset.
No, Jimmy, you know I don't like when that gets brought up.
No, I know.
Plus 1,300. Plus 1,300. Strickland was, I think, a plus 800. So,
people were really not giving him a shot, huh? You know what?
We got to double up on.
I really thought that. I didn't think this was out there, like with one of those, like when they're saying with Holly Holm, it was, and I think that's a good thing. I'm not saying it in a bad way.
Yeah,
I think when you're the biggest upset ever, it's not. It's probably not even a compliment at the end of the day. It's more, everybody thought you get your ass kicked. I love it because I'm a Rocky fan. But my thing is, Sean Strickland is a dog, man. There's not many fights where, you know, he just got outclassed. You know what I mean? He's always been.
No, I mean, and the thing is, he didn't do anything that he has never not done. Right? True. He did exactly what he does. He walked down, hands up, got that little Philly shell, flip the kick, flip the punch, 1-2 down the middle, cut off the cage. I mean, he didn't even grapple. So
it's funny about that because there's a clip of, like, I think after he got knocked out by Alex Pereira, and you see Izzy like kind of mimicking him, like showing the Philly shell, kind of fucking with it. Yeah. But, you know, because maybe he was, listen, it'd be foolish to say that the champ, and I know he didn't take Sean Strickland lightly, but maybe how many guys are giving him that look with that Philly shell? How many guys fight literally like that, or are able to stay right in the thick of the fire? Because you really have to be willing for that to work. You have to stay in distance of getting hit to roll and come back with your own. That's what's so cool about it.
100%.
And I love it. I love it as a shorter guy. That's how I knocked down Caro. He went with the right. I rolled and came back with the right. But but to have that confidence to sit there, and especially in MMA fight, because unlike boxing, you have other weapons that could possess a problem.
Well, he to your point, he nullified the reach, right? So Izzy with the 80 inches, 4 inches, Matt. I mean, 4 inches is a shitload. Yeah,
Jimmy's
right. He nullified.
I'm sorry. Sorry, Jimmy's not your.
He nullified. He nullified his reach by doing that, by closing the distance, lifting that leg up, and getting in close, and then he could flick the jab and land it. So, yeah, man. I mean, you just got to give the guy credit, you know. And he said, and his post fight was funny. He's like, I don't even know if this makes me happy. He's like, whatever. He's like, I guess I'm going to the gym on Tuesday. This guy's busy just doing what he loves, and he's smart. I think there's a little genius in that guy that no one wants to recognize. He has really gotten the most out of who he is athletically, where his upbringing, what he comes from. Look at him. He's a champion of the world. Yeah. He's a millionaire now. He's made money. And I think he just kind of keeps his head down. That's why he had his boots on in his fucking post-fight pick. He keeps that blue-collar mindset. Like, I'm just going to keep on working, show up to work every day. And now he's the world champion. And I think there's a genius there. You saw the guy. I mean, he had his girlfriend with him, and, you know, he there's another side to him. I think that that's his own private side that really, though, is a lot more calculated than people realize, because he's rooted in his work, and he doesn't let any of that shit change him. You'll never see that guy with a fucking ego, rocking a Rolex.
And listen,
Matt, can I ask, before I forget, I wanted to ask you guys both, because I forgot this. The way Strickland lifts his leg, doesn't he lift it? That doesn't seem like a very common thing with guys being worried about takedowns. Isn't that one of the, something that's kind of unique to him, being every single time lifting his leg that high?
We, if you watch Carlos Diego Ferreira, we did that against Anthony Pettis, and we just walked in and lifted the leg the whole time. And it was actually Diego came to me and was like, "Hey, what do you think?" And I said, I think it can work. And what it did was it nullified that target. So there's no target to hit as you walk in, right? If I keep bouncing my freaking leg up and down, and you're going and trying to catch a rhythm to hit my calf, well, and you can't do it, and then all of a sudden, right? I throw a kick, you lift your leg, and now you're putting paws on me. And you saw Strickland does a lot of grabbing as well, right? He'll kind of grab and paw. So just his way of taking away that target and kind of advancing forward. And I thought it worked really well. And then also when you lift high, it can kind of block body kicks too. And then the hands are up, it's a lot of protection. So that defense, it just worked out really well for him. But it was like Matt said, the courage, right? No, it's the courage to walk through the fire. And he walked through the fire and he cut him off. With Alex, he was following Alex as Alex circled. So Alex would circle and he would follow. Alex would circle, he would follow. And then Alex set him up with that trap. And when Alex threw the hook, you saw Strickland react with his hands out, and then he snuck it right around. So this time, I think Strickland learned, and he cut up. He said he didn't listen to the game plan. So I don't know where that came from, but we just got to give him credit. I mean, it came from his mindset and his experience, because he's the one that executed it.
And he's got great endurance too, man. Because a lot of guys
he does
trying to put somebody away like that, and he did that. And again, he might have lost that second round, but he wasn't in there with his hands on his knees. He was by the next round. He already recovered. Well, he's got phenomenal endurance. I think he spars so much that I just think it's just the cardio for that specific task that he's just so used to it, that I think he could fight all day long. I think he can fight all day long.
He's built himself in the gym, right? I mean, and I said this too on the show. Everyone, there's some talk about him and how he is to sparring partners and this and that, but I think that's just who he is. And I think he built himself in the gym by doing that. I mean, it's not complex. I mean, there's nothing crazy about it. He's not spinning or moving crazy. He's kind of walking straight down. He's very efficient. So I think to your point, Matt, that he fights every week. That's what he does. And when you want to get good at something, what do? It's just like jits. I mean, you don't get tired, you roll for an hour. I mean,
Jimmy knows that, don't you, Jimmy?
Oh, I definitely get tuckered out in an hour. I have to keep stopping. I'm fatter,
Jimmy, look,
with old.
First of all, once you get your blue belt, that's a big fucking deal.
I'm not even close to that.
Blue belt. No, it doesn't matter. Yeah, you are. Matt knows.
And my
blue belt.
On the subject, my wife just got her blue belt. So shout out.
Very nice.
She got a blue belt a couple months ago. She's doing great. But go ahead.
Blue belt's a milestone. I mean, it's like it's big, right? I mean, then if you get a black belt from Matt, your partner in crime, and a Renzo Gracie black belt, and a UFC champion, that would be badass. And it doesn't matter how long it takes. But you got to make that commitment. First you say, I'm going to blue belt. And once you make to blue belt, you're already at a solid belt. So then you just got to keep going.
I'll be happy just to get a stripe on my white belt. That eventually I'll get that. Someday maybe, but I mean, I never think of that, just because all I want to do is not get my ass kicked in the mall if I can avoid it. Like that's what I'm trying to do. You just don't want to get, by some obnoxious douchebag. I want to at least be able to make a good showing. You want to at least be able to survive it. And I'm better now than I would have been 4 months ago.
100%. Absolutely. Yeah. That's right. That's great. That's a great attitude. And it's the truth.
And having said that, Jimmy, don't go out looking for trouble. Okay.
No, I don't. I mean, I'm more comfortable than I would have been 4 months ago, but not blindly so. I mean, I'm not an idiot.
You're not going to be looking to smack anybody around for their lunch money.
No.
Listen, we talked briefly. Was that on air or off air when we were talking about Manuel Cape versus
Manel Kape? Yes, that great fight against Dos Santos. How much short notice did that kid take that on? I mean, that was really last minute.
I think 2 weeks.
Wow.
But that kid, you got to understand, he's 22 years old. So we're going to see. I mean, he didn't know the meaning of losing.
Is he tough?
That was his first
Tough.
His debut, yeah. I think it was his debut, yeah.
Yeah.
That was his debut.
Dude, that kid, yeah, he didn't
But,
give a shit. I mean,
yeah,
he was not there to lose.
Santos. Wow.
He wasn't there to lose, man. I was impressed by that kid. So impressed.
So, I mean, and I like the, how do you pronounce his first name? I said
Manel Cop.
Manel. Yo, he's a spicy one, huh? He had a little something. He was, well, I mean, Jimmy, you know, I know you didn't like his comments.
I don't care what guys say. It's one of those things where it's dumb because of where you are. Him and there was another fighter too, but I'm not. I don't think people should be offended by it. It's just a dumb tactical move because of where you are.
But he's got the press conference. Him and Kaya
France, yeah.
Hey, that 10 times fast. Kaya France. Kaya France. Anyway, and they were having some back and forth. And then when Izzy stood up, he's even talking to Izzy. Now, I don't know. This guy's my height. This Manuel.
He's shorter than you are, man.
Is he shorter than me?
Shorter than you.
Let's look up how tall he is. Because if he's not shorter than me, I'm going
to guess if that's true, 4'11".
Jimmy, you say.
No, I think. What are you? 5'7", 5'8"? I think he's like 5'6",
5'8". On a box. He's 5'8".
5'6".
I'm ashamed to say I'm 5'6". I'm not ashamed to say.
No, why would you be? You're a squat little man.
Same height.
I'm also 5'6" wide. Anyway.
Yeah, he's a 25er. So I mean, look.
Oh yeah, that's really now it's really weird. Hey, listen.
Here's what I think. I think that when I saw that clip, and I mean, I don't know how you feel about it, Matt. I just say that guy's a fighter, you know? Like, this is why these guys are here. Matt's got it in him. I got it in me. Fucking Jimmy sounds like he's got it in him at the mall, too. He's going to fucking knock out a teammate. The reality is that like, okay, and I hope not, but, you know, Matt, he's by himself. He's not bothering anybody. And someone comes up and says, hey, sit down. Hey, you sit down. Hey, he's going to say, who the fuck are you? Fuck you. You sit down, you know?
Right, Jimmy.
And I just think the fighter in him came out. Just the fighter in him came out. I don't even think he thought about Buzz or Izzy or anybody. He was just like, fuck you. So I thought it was organic. I thought it was natural. And he's a fighter, man. So what do you expect?
This is what I think now, Jimmy, because we've all seen the Christmas Story, right? Seen the Christmas Story?
Yeah.
Remember when Ralphie went to get pushed down the slide? And then he doesn't want Legos. No, he doesn't want those Legos. He wants the fucking Red Ryder BB gun. So this is going to be Jimmy.
So he's Ralphie? He's Ralphie now?
What? What is it?
He's Ralphie, he's saying.
So they're going to go, Ralphie. Yeah, so like Jimmy, now he knows jujitsu. They're going to go to, it's going to be like that scene, but a locker. Jimmy's going to go, no. He's going to put his legs and feet out. Anyway, my point is this, Jimmy.
Yes.
Day by day, you're getting more dangerous.
Yes, but with Manel Cop too, I wanted to say this because there was that thing where he went after kind of Izzy, but also Ferguson, if you remember, had that thing with Fabricio Verdum during like a press day where they snapped at each other. And I think these guys, especially in those moments, they also know it's probably not going to go any further than that. And I'm not questioning his heart. But I mean, you know, you're not going to have to fight the former middleweight champion at the press conference.
Yeah.
They're just two guys jawing at each other.
I do think it was organic.
Yeah.
He was organic. I don't think he's trying to get like, you know, a lot of these guys do shit because they know it's going to go viral and shit. You can kind of tell, right? Like that dude, he wasn't doing that because of that.
I agree.
He really legitimately didn't give a fuck. And he's gotten so many fights canceled. And, you know, like, I mean, that guy, he's gotten, I don't know, 4 or 5 fights canceled. And I just think he's just pissed off.
Yeah.
Man, and you know who doesn't give a shit also is the Kai Kara France. I like when he does that New Zealand thing when he's like, They have weird shit. Yeah. They like do and they shaka. They do some shit. It sounds like something like out of the Ewoks and stuff, but it's fucking. But then it's some violence.
The haka,
right, Jimmy?
Yeah. It's very intimidating.
They call it the haka.
Yeah.
The haka.
I want Jimmy to learn the haka. Jimmy. Could you put Jimmy? Yeah. I would pay money to see Jimmy do the haka.
That's a Maori. It's a Maori kind of like a war cry, right? And the New Zealanders are Maoris, and if you know about the Maoris and how great their history is as warriors and how fucking tough they are, and how strong they are, and like that goes into the All Blacks team, kind of talking about rugby and all the other stuff. So yeah, I mean it's cultural for them, and I don't know. I mean, look, I think Kai
Sorry,
Kara
Jimmy,
France is
Jimmy.
I think,
I'm safe. I'm thinking of Jimmy doing that, and then I wonder if anybody ever got booed when they try to do that to intimidate somebody, and Jimmy goes to do it. Boo, Jimmy.
Well, I'm not a Maori. You ever see Once Were Warriors, Safe? That's a great movie about New Zealand, about Maoris. You ever see that?
I have not. I'll check.
Great film.
No, I have not seen it.
Great
Is that
film.
with Russell Crowe?
No, a guy named Temuera Morrison, and I think her name was Raina something. I don't remember her last name. It might have been Owens. I don't remember. No, they were all New Zealand actors. But it was an incredible film.
Anyway, that Hawkins stuff is scary. So those guys, I hope they fight eventually. Oh, by the way, who got it done was Justin Taffa. What about it?
Yes.
What about it? You get to keep that lower back tattoo after that. I'm only kidding. Don't piss him off, Jimmy. Justin Taffa.
He's a beast.
Yeah, he is.
And I'll tell you,
beast.
Austin Lane, he didn't know what the fuck. He was like, touchdown. He didn't know what happened. He's like, put me in, coach. They're like, no, it's over. Listen, he didn't know what the fuck happened to him. And he's
he got hit.
Hell.
That was a big ass left hand, though, right? I think it was a big ass left hand. And I mean,
you know, it's funny
that's a big dude, man.
It is a big dude, but it is kind of funny when you see the guys with the shirt off, and they can't help it. Sometimes they don't. They might need a little tummy tuck or something. They got the little, even though they got tattoos, you can't hide the little, like the chunk or fat. And this Austin Lane looks like he could have a rose in his mouth, abs and shit. And then you see the big fat guy.
It looks like Taffa looks like Mark Hunt. You know?
Yeah,
he has that Mark Hunt.
Yeah, Tuivasa is kind of built like that. Also, Augusto Sakai is built like that a little bit. Like the guys, like almost like Fedor is always like that. Like these guys that are giant, in incredible shape, heavyweights, but they have that extra layer on them. It's just maybe it protects them because it certainly doesn't seem to affect their ability.
No, they're fast. And they don't need to go for 25 minutes usually. You know, the fights are shorter than that, so it's a different kind of power.
But and also who had a great night was Tyson Pedro, and I liked his after fight thing with the whole samurai thing.
Yeah.
That looked cool.
That was legit. He hit that celebration 10 out of 10. I mean, the way that he did the theatrics of that, the way that he put the sword away and then he bowed and then he walked away, that made the win that much cooler. Sure.
All he was missing was a big baggy kimono. He looked awesome in that thing.
Yeah.
You know, Jimmy?
He did.
That was something else, man. I wonder how many times he practiced that. You know, but that
was
up there with
he hit
Izzy's arrows. That was up there with him after he beat Pereira. That was a great celebration.
Yeah, I tend to not like that stuff.
Perfect.
He did hit it perfect.
I agree with you on that because it's like, okay, you beat a guy. It was his debut, or he's like his second fight in the UFC. Like you didn't win the title. Izzy's was beating his rival, winning the fucking undisputed belt. This is a but he did hit it perfect, Jimmy.
He did.
It was pretty good. I mean, the coordination in that whole thing, and then he walked right away. Sometimes you just got to give a guy credit for hitting all.
I'm weird though. I like
spots in the big under the lights.
I'm sorry, so you cut out a little.
You like Barry Sanders. You're Barry Sanders.
I like those guys I like those guys that walk out kind of simple. Like I like a Mike Tyson walkout, no fanfare. I like those guys that walk out simple. Like I never enjoyed Jacare doing this. Like it's just not what I like. Even Izzy's walkouts, I don't care about. I love watching him fight, but I never like that stuff.
Basically, Safe, my good friend, Jimmy, although he's a comedian, doesn't like to have fun sometimes.
That's very true. I am a very unfun person.
You don't like to mix you like to have fun when you have fun, but when you have fights, it's serious business. I
just tend to like that more. I tend to like it's simple. Like it doesn't have to be tough. Yeah. Like the tough looks don't mean anything. It's funny when you first start watching UFC, you'll see a guy, you go, fuck, he looks tough. And the other guy's just completely unintimidated by him and winds up knocking him out. Like that shit doesn't mean anything.
Dude, simple yet tough.
Oh, you're right.
Simple yet tough. That's me. I'm simple and tough.
Simple.
Know what I taught an hour and a half ago, right? That's why I was 2 minutes late. Is I taught just dealing with shoulder pressure from cross-side, getting out, bringing the energy up, reclaiming guard, and then a little deep dive on the basic arm lock. That's it. First, when it's a gift, how to get to it. Then when it's not a gift, how to get it. And then when he's giving you a hard time getting it, how it leads to the back. I love jujitsu.
Yeah.
Anyway, hey,
that's what I worked on today too, Matt.
This is the great thing about Jim. Look at this motherfucker. He's still sweating and he's happy as fuck. He gets to go to work every day, do what he absolutely loves.
Yes.
MMA and all that shit's extra.
Yeah.
You know, for guys like Matt who love jits and gi, that's like, you're the luckiest guy in the world, even luckier than the pure MMA guy. Because the pure MMA guy, he falls apart and then that's it.
Yeah.
For a guy like you, you're in love every day. Your original love is still there. It's like
it's true. There's days
like on a Monday, you get to come back to it every day. It's a gift.
Yeah, like on a Monday. That's what you do too, bro. That's you were living a very similar life.
Yeah, you know? I just don't train as much as you because even in the gi, I get fucked up, man. I get hurt all the time. I'm working my way back in.
I don't go too nuts with the rolling. Besides my family, literally my wife and my daughter. By the way, I'm posting something today with my daughter. She shot something for this Jiu-Jitsu World League of her teaching a move and this and that. It's very nice. That'll be she's 14, cool. So it's pretty cool. I'm gonna put that on my Instagram list.
Very cool.
It just popped into my head. But I train. You know, I have certain. I don't just train with the 300-pound guys anymore. I make sure I get proper rolls in. You know, I just like to keep the blade sharp. Because you never. You know, it's the way I like to stay in shape. I tell people, like, look, you could be at Planet Fitness getting yelled at for dropping weights, or you could be here getting more dangerous and getting a workout.
I agree.
You know what I mean, Jimmy?
I agree.
Yeah.
Jimmy, that Planet Fitness, they get yelled at with any kind of yelling. They get yelled at. You can't. I can't do anything without making a grunt.
I was practicing today rolling out of turtle, like just kind of shoulder rolling and like getting out of the way if someone is fucking pummeling me. He's really good. He's he's trying to, like, it's not for competition. Like, he'll tell me, hey, this will be great for BJJ competition, but this is what like if somebody is trying to, is literally punching you in the street, this is how you would do this.
That's beautiful, man. I'm so happy you're training.
Me too.
Nice. Time's flying. What else do we want to talk about? We talked about the main card. I mean,
I just want, can I say one more guy I want to shout out? Nasrat Hapgrass. What a great fight. He looked unbelievable. What great hands that guy has. I was happy for him over Quijones. That was a great fight. And he just has really underrated hands. And you don't hear him spoken about as much as I think you should.
No, he had a good run. He had a really good run. And then I don't know if he got hurt. We haven't seen him. But yeah, he's a guy that's, been around for a while. And a guy that I think, could be a top 15 guy if he can stay healthy.
And I was going to say, Jimmy, and I'm sure you were about to say too, that the Grasso-Shevchenko rematch is coming up this Saturday. Let's end with this. Thoughts on that fight?
I think that Valentina lives and dies with this, with martial arts. I think she's going to be really ready for this fight. I think she's got a ton of experience. I think she got surprised and a little underestimated Grasso a bit in the first fight. I think we're going to see the best version of her. What I will say is that Grasso and that whole camp, I think Diego Lopez comes from that camp, Irene Aldana, like they're a small camp, but they've really produced some really great moments. And I think that they're working really hard. And Grasso is doing this.
Yes.
So I do think Valentina is a little bit of a favorite in this fight because of her. She will find a way to manage the fight possibly a little bit better, but I would not be surprised if Grasso retains. It's going to be a very close fight. To me, it's closer to a pick'em fight than it is Valentina being a big favorite, but I can see Valentina still being a favorite from her body of work.
And what a great co-main too. Kevin Holland against Jack Della Maddalena. That's a great co-main event. What are your thoughts on that?
Man, Kevin is I've known Kevin for, I don't know, over 10 years because I've watched him come up in this circuit here in Dallas, Fort Worth. And, he fought Jeff in the title fight many years ago. And Kevin is really, really a problem. And I don't think people understand it because Kevin has got his mindset right when it comes to fighting. He knows how to stay relaxed. He's always in shape. He doesn't gain a bunch of weight. He can make 70, he can make 85. But he has so much experience in the octagon. He knows how to really recover. And you see him, he's very hard to hurt. I mean, Wonder Boy hit him with so many good shots and Kevin just stayed in there and he had a broken hand the whole time too. So I think Kevin's mental game now, along with the length that he has and the cardio, and he is also good on the ground. He's not a wrestler, but he can handle his own on the floor. But his stand-up and his mental game is going to be a real problem for Jack. And if Jack can hit all, Jack's going to start fast. Obviously, his last fight wasn't great. He fought a guy on short notice who did awesome. Yeah. But Kevin is the real deal. I think he can really contend at 170 pounds, and people need to recognize that. I think they do too. People love Kevin. They know how down he is. He's a guy that's down to throw. He's similar to Strickland. He is who he is. You know.
Sayif, thank you so much. Always great. The great Sayif Saud. Always great to have you on. We love talking. You could talk to you all day. And I'm sure we'll talk to you again soon. But we always appreciate you taking time out of your schedule and coming to hang with us.
Well, it's great to talk to you guys. I'm glad we got to talk about the card. And that's MMA. You never know what the hell's going to happen. And I guess we all got reminded again on Saturday night.
Yep. Thank you, buddy, very much. We'll talk to you again soon. Thanks, Sayif.
Take care, Sayif.
Bye-bye.
And Matt, I guess I will. Is there anything you want to promote? I'm just going to say for myself, this Wednesday I'll be at the Fat Black Pussycat, and also September 28th I'm coming up to Toronto.
Sarah BJJ, that's it, dude. I'm at my school every day. I don't really get nothing to promote, Besides, peace, love, and jujitsu.
All right, I love it.
Okay. Well, hey, listen. One day, change up your day. You do it on the days we have a podcast. I can't visit. One day, meet up on a Friday. Say, can we switch my lesson to a Friday? We train, we shower.
100%. We could definitely do on Friday because I wind up I do Monday and Wednesday, I do jiu-jitsu, and then Tuesday, Thursday, Muay Thai. So I would love to do a Friday jiu-jitsu. I would love to.
Or Friday, I could come in there and you could just have a session with me. I'm not going to steal you away from Mikey.
That would be great. I would love that. I can't do it this Friday, but I would love, because I think I'm traveling. But listen, I would. Maybe I can this Friday. Wait, I might be able to this Friday. Why don't you let me know? I would love to.
We'll talk about it. Maybe we'll set that up. I'll have my buddy Andrew meet us in there, or David Chung.
Yeah, it'd be great.
Awesome. Jimmy, so much fun today. I'll see you in a couple of days.
Thanks, pal. Talk to you soon.
Goodbye, everyone.
Yeah, bye.